There's a new law that goes into effect on August 28th of 2026 that affects repeat offenders of driving while intoxicated. It used to be that the highest mandatory minimum in prison would be 2 years based on a number of priors that you had and if you were categorized as a chronic or habitual offender. And there was no mandatory minimums if there was a death of an individual. Now we have a mandatory minimum that goes into effect August 28th of 2026 that requires on your fourth offense, if you're categorized as an aggravated offender, which is a Class D felony in Missouri, you will be required to serve a minimum of 60 days in jail before you're eligible for probation. The other individuals who are affected by this is those who are categorized as a chronic or habitual offender. Chronic offenders are defined as someone who is now facing their fifth DWI. Habitual offenders are individuals now facing their sixth DWI. Those are Class C and B felonies, respectively. And those individuals will be required to serve a mandatory minimum of 2 years in prison before they are eligible for parole. Then the next category that has changed is that if there is a driving while intoxicated offense that you've been charged with, in addition to an act of criminal negligence while driving, and there is the death of another person, those individuals will be required to serve a mandatory minimum of 5 years in prison before they're eligible for parole. And the interesting thing about this statute is that now makes this instance a Class B felony, which means 5 to 15 years in prison is the range of punishment that you're looking at total. There's another change in this statute that is unclear because it was not defined properly by the legislature. And that says that if there is DWI with criminal negligence while driving and the death of any person, that's now a Class A felony in Missouri. And it has a mandatory minimum of 10 years in prison before you are eligible for parole. And an A felony range of punishment that you will be facing is 10 to 30 years in prison or life in prison. So these are significant changes in Missouri. And what we will see as the criminal defense bar is a lot more attorneys needing to go to jury trial on these Class B and A felonies because of the mandatory minimum before anyone is eligible for parole.